Be set up for the Azerothian Weather Channel Super Stream. Everything is good to go. Super Stream, also Q and A. Hirus Q and A number 48, I think. Oh, I'm almost at number 50. Considering I do one of these like once every couple of months. That's a pretty good time frame. Shut up, Siri. So, first question in this Q and A, in which I'm probably going to be standing around a lot, or maybe farming some ore. Question number 1. Top 10 worst videos getting more views, but not top best videos getting more requests. Okay, so this is not really a question, and it's more of a statement that was said in the last video. Basically, in the last video, I talked about how I did the data on my videos and which ones do the best and which ones don't do so well. And the ones that were about the top 10 worst of things performed much better than things that were top 10 best of things. And whenever people ask for a top 10 video, 99% of the time they ask for a top 10 best. Despite the fact that the data clearly indicates that worst videos perform 3 times better on average. People are much more interested in watching worst videos. So this little comment right here is just suggesting the very popular Warcraft meme of you think you do, but you don't. It's very applicable to this situation. It's not how you say that word. Applicable. It can be applied to this situation. Usually when Blizzard does things, I kind of understand where they're coming from for most of the parts. Because I too, have a fan base, even if it's much smaller on a micro scale compared to Blizzard's whole thing. And, I understand a lot of their decisions and what they do, and then people get really mad at them. And basically, off the top of my head, I can only think of really 2 things that I can really understand where they're coming from. One of them is like, the whole you think you do, but you don't. Hey, turns out fans, they don't really know what they want until you give it to them, and then you have them try it out for themselves. And then you'll know if they liked it or not based on overwhelmingly negative feedback or, positive or neutral feedback. The best way to see if someone wants something is just to give it to them with no input from them. Basically, let the creative people do their job, and then see how they react to it. And most of the time, they ask for things that are really dumb or, that they don't think a large fan base actually likes. But hey, sometimes they're wrong. Sometimes you get the whole classic WoW situation. It seems like people are really excited about that. And the other part that I really understand when they do things is when they add mounts to the store. I was like, yeah, it's like, as a YouTuber, there are many ways to monetize your videos besides just doing ads. And I kind of don't really care about all the other ways you can do it because it's kind of annoying. I'd rather spend all of that time making videos rather than, dealing with advertiser companies or setting up merch, doing Patreon rewards. There's a lot of things you can do. Those are the main ones, I think. And I just don't really care very much because the ads are working well for me. And, if you're a video game company, the same thing. It's you're expected to do all these other things, the higher ups be like, why don't you have, monetizable ways in your video game? You have extra ways to make money and it won't negatively impact the game. You should do them. So I kind of understand that front. It's kind of not a popular thing to talk about, though, since there's a huge negative sentiment against that kind of thing in the game. So instead, we will carry on. It looks like we have a couple of favorites in the questions. What I love to do is whenever I get questions, and I actually did this when I was copying pasting the questions from my last Q and A to this one. like sometimes people will have a whole list of, questions. Like sometimes they'll have a couple of good ones in there. And what I do is I usually just remove favorites and stuff because like, good questions to get to know someone, good questions for conversations. There's nothing wrong with favorite questions. They don't really encourage very much dialogue though if you don't care about that favorite thing. So like if they just keep asking you about like, what's your favorite fruit, for example, I'd be like, I don't really care about fruits, so I don't have a favorite. If I was really going to pick one just to answer your question, I would just pick one at random. So I usually just ignore favorite questions because it really drives home the point that I don't care about a lot of these things. So I'd rather not talk about a favorite thing if I don't care. The thing is, though, like whenever I'm live streaming, that is like the most asked questions you get are favorite questions. And in those kinds of situations, part of live streaming is interacting with chat. So you kind of want to answer all their questions if you can. And if your chat's like small, like mine is, and if there's lots of people asking those favorite questions, then you're going to get a lot of repeat questions, especially depending on what you're doing. Like if I'm flying around in WoW, they'll be like, what's your favorite mount? Because they see a non-default mount I might be riding. That would be a very prudent question to ask. I get asked that one a lot. And the answer to that question is I don't have a favorite mount. I don't actually care about mounts, like, at all. Mainly the only reason I buy the cash shop mounts is because, it's more of a... I can't believe people get so upset over them, so I buy them just out of spite because I think it's funny. But I don't actually really like any of them. I don't really like any of the mounts I have. But that's kind of a negative thing to say. If you're just having a fun time doing something in chat and they ask you, hey, what's your favorite mount? He's like, oh, I don't have one. It's like, it doesn't feel good to get that kind of response, but I don't actually have one. So the way I answer this, I got some good advice from a fellow YouTuber, is when people ask me what my favorite thing is, if I don't care, I'll say it's whatever I'm currently doing. So if I'm on a mount, currently my favorite mount is the Wonder Wing 2.0. And then I'll expand upon it if they ask more questions about it. And I'll just really sell. It's like, yes, this is my favorite mount. I love how it's a mechanical parrot bird thing. It's so great. Oh man, I wish there was like different tints in this game so I could have more of them. I ride this mount all the time. And then maybe I'll be mounted up on something else later. Like, hey, what's your favorite mount? It's like, oh, it's the Enchanted Fey Dragon. This thing, it changes colors. It's a store mount. This is why I paid real money for it. Because this is my favorite mount. And that's all I do. I found that's better than just saying, like, I don't have a favorite. Because that seems dismissive. But if you just talk about a random thing, sarcastically, that tends to go over a lot better because, hey, they don't know, and hey, that could be your favorite. So let's go on over to the next question in this Q&A. I actually have quite a bit this time around. Hero, if a tree falls in a forest and no one is around to hear it, does it make a sound? Good question. The obvious answer would be like, of course it does. Just because no one's around to hear it, it doesn't mean it doesn't make sound. But also, if no one is around to hear it, thereby, from the very nature of if things exist, like something can't exist if you don't observe it. And if you can't observe it, nothing observes it. Does it make a sound? Well, it still does, realistically speaking. Like, what if you went back in time to that point and you saw it fall over? It would definitely make a sound in front of you. It doesn't negate the fact that it makes the sound or not. So that's more of a philosophical question than it is a practical one. Next question. What kind of dogs do you have? I have a black dog and like a white tannish dog. I don't know what kind of breeds they are. I'm pretty sure they're both mutts. Neither of them are mine. One of them was given to my little brother as a present. And then I took care of it since I was the only person who stayed home all day. And then the other one was my sister's. She bought it when she was going to move to a new house. And then that didn't work out. And then it just started living with us here. And then she eventually moved out many years later. And they became friends, so she didn't want to separate them. So at her new house, she just got new dogs. So those are the 2 dogs. Neither of them are mine, but I definitely trained both of them and took care of them, and I pay for their food. And I give them treats, and I used to take them for walks every day. But I don't know what they are, and I don't really care. So one of them's black, and one of them is like white or tannish or yellow. I guess he's more yellow than he is white. But sometimes you might hear them in the backgrounds whenever I'm streaming. That's why whenever I do these Q&A streams, I try to wait for nighttime, because they like to bark whenever someone comes up to the house or if someone walks by the house. And at nighttime, that rarely happens, because we get packages all the time or mail's delivered or, just lots of traffic outside. They'll bark every now and then, or when people are coming and going from work or stuff or going to the store, which doesn't really happen at nighttime. So this is the best time to do it. But even then, last time I did the Q&A, they still ended up barking. It's just going to happen sometimes. There's a much less chance that it will happen, though, if I do these at night. Well, if not answering favorites or mount questions, I still want to know just what's your rarest mount you have. Don't know. Sorry, don't know the answer to this one. The rarest mount I have is probably one of my vicious saddle mounts. So if I type in vicious... it doesn't show up. I don't know if it actually shows up on this character or not. It's a wolf. Prestigious Warwolf, is this it? God, I don't actually know. Is it this one? No, it's definitely not that one. Oh, it's this one. This is my rarest mount. It's a PvP mount. You get vicious. I don't know how you get vicious saddles now, but I got that when it first came out back in Cataclysm. You had to win like 100 rated battlegrounds or something. It was pretty difficult to get. So I think that one's still my rarest, actually, because even with how they made vicious saddles easier to get, they're still not obtainable by the average player. You have to do quite a bit of PvP. Okay, now on to this. I should let you know, the people who are in chat, I do see your questions, and I'll round back to them once I finish the ones here. And I just realized I probably should have wrote down a lot less comments, because I got a lot of them here. So, next one. The first one you made, Factor Craps, had some interesting facts in them. The most recent ones seem pretty empty. Love your videos. Okay, so, in the last video I talked about... I gotta fly white. Factor Crap videos, and how they don't really do very well. And this is a very astute observation. That's exactly true. I'm surprised someone else noticed. What I used to do in the first Factor Crap videos was I found really interesting facts that I thought people wouldn't really know about, and I put them in the Factor Crap video, as a way, like, I think people would be too bored to watch this video if it was just normal questions. So I tried my best to make it entertaining with things you probably wouldn't know about, which made for really hard questions. So I stopped doing that, and it also didn't do very well anyway. So I stopped doing them. The only reason I started doing them again was because the quiz thing became like a popular thing. And I was like, hey, I had that series I tried that failed. Maybe I should bring it back. And so I did. And yeah, these ones have just been a lot more fairer questions. And because of that, they're not really interesting facts anymore. If anything, you'll have a better chance at answering the questions if you've just watched my other videos, because I do reference, a lot of things that have shown up in some of the other videos I have. So, next question. What do you think the next WoW expansion will revolve around? I'd be surprised if it didn't revolve around old gods. And maybe dragons. But you never know. They could, finish all of that in the next patch. I'd be surprised if it did. But they totally could do that. Next question. Let's rapid fire through some of these. Shit. The stupid thing followed me for so long. What do you... Okay, next one. You've mentioned disliking your main channel's name. If you could, what would you rename it to? I have played around with this idea a lot of what I would rename it to. I would never rename my main channel. Like, let me make that clear. Because a friend of mine, by the name of Crucial, he used to go by Hellscream and changed it, you know, for realistic branding reasons. Like, if you wanted to have a future of the channel, you really don't want it named after a World of Warcraft character. And he got comments about the name change to the day he stopped making videos. It didn't really go over well. And I was like, yeah, I'm not going to do that. So, you know, it's going to stay at the terrible name it has right now. As a compromise, I changed, like, the icon of it so that it would say hero in the icon. You know, that's probably the best way I can go about changing its name without actually changing its name. The full name is still Hiruma Red X, but, you know, the icon now just says Hiru. So, what would I change it to? Something really short and memorable. You know, like a real brandy name. Like, my Yu-Gi-Oh channel is called The Dual Logs. I think that's, like, a perfect name. Because the Dual Logs was the name of your replays back in Yu-Gi-Oh! Online. And that's why I stole the name from another guy. Because there was another guy who was named the Dual Logs. No, his name was just Dual Logs. And I added a th in front of it because I knew he stopped playing. And it's great. I love that name. It's so amazing. There's also the Azeroth the Weather channel. You know, obviously very World of Warcraft related, but it's also much more brand friendly. It's like a nice thing. You could tell someone that you're a fan of the Azeroth Weather channel. You'd have a harder time saying, yeah, I like this one guy's video. It's a really cringy anime name. Hiruma Red X. You know, hey, it has good videos. Just watch, you know, just ignore the clickbait top 10s. You know what? It's good. Just trust me. That's a tall tale sign of, like, a bad brand. So if I were to change it, I would change it to something really stupid. I don't know. I got a lot of really good suggestions when I was asking for names for this channel, and I would probably just pick from that list as well. Something like the best Warcraft top 10s, like something that ridiculous. You know, says what the channel is about, and also is very brand friendly. I don't really have a good suggestion right now, but it would be along the lines of that. Something ridiculous, something memorable, even if it's not cool. I would definitely not try to go for a cool name. I would go as ridiculous as possible because that's memorable. And that's what you want. You want people remembering it. Hey, here, missed the first 15 minutes. Nice to see you streaming. Think the name is fine. Just PewDiePie. All right, I'll round back to the comments after this. Actually, you know what? I can probably just, like, do that right now. So, let me fly up in the air so I don't get attacked by anything. Let's see here. What's your favorite Yu-Gi-Oh card? I don't have one. Hey, Hero, isn't it a little late? Also, did you know the new battles from the Eternal Ballast, the new battle pets? Yes, I definitely caught all the ones I could. And yeah, it is late, and I got done explaining that a little bit ago. Also, what do you think of the state of the allied races? Do you think they should add more, and what would you want? The state of the allied races, I thought that was, like, a really good idea. Like, I had planned on making a video about it, how allied races are Blizzard's way of tricking people to level again. Because, like, before allied races, I would do Iron Man challenges all the time, and there was hardly anyone out in the open world actually leveling. And then once they did allied races, you know, forcing people to level them from 20 to whatever the max level is in order to get the heritage armor, that really got people to go out and level again. And there was tons of people, and it was very successful in making the old world, you know, more alive again. To a detriment, I don't like it when there's other people in the same zone as me. So it's kind of annoying. But hey, they did succeed in getting people to level more, and, you know, loosening the restrictions on races when the racials themselves have always been minor. was a great idea. I was like, man, that is a good idea. They can totally add new races super easy, and people love that shit. Without having to add a new class, which is much, much more complicated to balance. It's easier to balance racials that all just give you basically a 1% increase in damage than it is entire classes that do completely different things. I thought allied races were just a really good idea. Out here flexing. Factor Crap's more popular than top 10 videos. Oh, is Factor Crap more popular than top 10s? No, not at all. What is your favorite question? My favorite questions are ones that aren't about favorite things. Well, if not answering favorites or mounts, I think I already read that one. My favorite mount is the Grand Armored Wavering. I wrote it ever since MOP. I think that's one of the default mounts, isn't it? Let's see. Schrodinger, you're not mine. Let's see. If a universe doesn't exist but everyone thinks it exists, does it exist? Whoa. If a universe doesn't exist but everybody thinks it exists, does it exist? The answer to that, philosophically speaking, psychologically speaking, is yes. Realistically, would you be able to observe it if you had magic powers that allowed you to teleport to any plane of existence? Probably wouldn't exist. But for all intents and purposes, when it comes to mind and technicalities of questions like that, yes, it would exist. A point famously brought up in the book 1984, where the guy is able to convince the main character, things exist if people believe that they exist. For example, if I believed I could fly, and you believed I could fly, and we both saw myself flying in the air, does it matter if I could actually fly or not, if we both 100% believed and saw that I could fly in the air? That means I'm flying in the air. There's no ifs, ands, and buts about it. Regardless of the fact if I could do it or not, because everything that exists comes to you through your senses and your minds, and those can be manipulated. Everybody knows this because dreams. Those are the biggest, factors of it. You see and hear things in dreams, but those don't actually exist. So, can't trust your senses. That's like one of the main founder things of, I think it's philosophy. I don't know. One of those, how do you know you actually exist? Answer, you don't. That's why I think, therefore I am. Fun stuff to talk about. Not very practical when you, think about it in terms of, well, actually, if someone had, omnipotent magical powers and could see all these things in a practical way, then no, you wouldn't be able to fly. You still also wouldn't be able to prove you exist, though. What are you going to play in Classic? I haven't decided yet. I'm going to pick something at random once I get to it. Okay. I'm going to go back to the questions on this list. Wow, I just got attacked by something in the air. Let's fly out of here. Next question. Why do you think people like your voice so much? I'd assume it's like Stockholm Syndrome. They're used to it, so they grew fond of it. It's not overly nasally or annoying. And that's probably all it is. If you watch enough of my videos, you'll probably grow a fondness for it if the voice itself has a baseline level of, pleasing. If it were to compare my voice to people who actually had good radio voices and stuff, and like a blind test study, I don't think I'd be winning any kind of awards or contests. Next question. Will you be in the next Blizzcon? And if yes, will you do a fan meetup? I do plan on being on the next Blizzcon. I have tickets for it. I also sent in credentials for a media pass. Pretty sure they'll decline me. Even if they do decline me, I still already have tickets. I actually need to sell one of them. I think I only have a couple of days left to sell it. I had a buyer lined up, but they found a different ticket, and I took too long to actually sell it to them. That was my bad. And a fan meetup. Yeah, I'll organize something. Realistically speaking, I'll probably just see if Wowhead's doing one of those fan meetup things again, and just ask them if I can have a booth. That would be the easiest way to do it for me. You know, sit there for 30 minutes while like 1 or 2 people come up. It's like, hey, I like your channel. It's like, wow, thanks. You know, hey, good thing about being a fan of me is you don't have to wait in line like all these other more popular YouTubers. If I don't do that, I'll just set up something on my Twitter. So, if you're going to Blizzcon and you want to meet up, just follow my Twitter. That's probably where I'll do stuff. Or maybe my Discord. So, next question. What is an item that you were relieved / happy when it finally dropped in WoW? Deathbringers Will. Is what I would say if it had ever dropped in Wrath of the Lich King. So, for those of you who don't know, I should really make a video on this one day. Like top 10 overpowered trinkets through WoW's history. You know, there's a really overpowered trinket right now in the game. That little laser disc thing. Deathbringers Will was this trinket that dropped from Deathbringer Sourfang in ICC. And it was so good that it increased your damage by about 20%. It was a gigantic upgrade and everybody wanted it. And it was good for so many classes and specs. So it was a very good trinket, very in demand, only ever dropped from 25-man ICC though, so you couldn't farm it in 10-man. And my computer wasn't good enough to handle... Oops, I'm not here to do quests. My computer wasn't good enough to handle 25-man modes back then, so I would just lag like crazy every time I did it. And I would only ever join with like other guilds or pugs. And it rarely dropped, and if it did drop, there was a long line of people who had it reserved or, you know, won the role because everybody wanted it. And I just never got the trinket, despite the fact that I wanted it so bad. I would imagine if I had finally gotten the Deathbringers Will, I would have felt much relief. And I'll always remember that. Because I never got the trinket, and I wanted it so badly. I think it's just because I don't really care about gear as much as I used to back then. Like, I was still new to it. I was still new to doing DPS. And I've been maining a healer for so long, and healers don't care about gear as much as DPS do. Because as, like, the rate tiers go on longer, and everyone gets more gear, the fights actually become easier to heal. So you need, like, less and less gear. That's why... You know, if you have a group that prioritizes loot, they would usually give it to all the DPS first before the healers. As a DPS, though, you want like all the gear you can get since it's all a numbers game anyway. Okay, so next question. There is an MTG channel, the Mana Source, where masses of people begging for more worst cards ever videos has become... Okay, I think I completely messed up how to read that. Basically, what the comment's saying is that there is another Magic the Gathering channel where people constantly ask for worst of videos to the point where it's become a meme, and that's surprising to hear because no one ever asked for worst of videos. I assume they're asking for a specific type. Yeah, I think the question is saying they're literally just asking for a video on the worst cards ever. Okay. Have I done that video? I've done something similar to that. I've basically done a worst cards ever video. Deathbringers Will is probably the coolest trinket. Yeah, it is. It also transformed your character too. It was amazing. Do you like your voice and what does it sound like to you? Here's the thing with video editing and YouTubers and streamers. Like, one of the most common advice people give to new YouTubers is, yes, it's okay not to like your voice. No one likes it at first. You'll get used to it. I was the same way. I remember listening back to my voice like, God, is that what I sound like? That's not what I hear in my head. And eventually you just get used to it. That's all it is. So do I like my voice? I mean, I like pretty much everything about myself. So that includes my voice, but I wouldn't say my voice is particularly something that I would, like, go and brag about. I'd probably much more willing to say, if I were to talk about the positives of myself, I'd say, hey, did you know I have athletic talent? That's a thing that can be more readily shown. That's a thing that's much more impressive than a voice that some people on YouTube have just gotten used to. I would much rather have a sexy girl's voice reading your top 10 videos, but yeah, I just deal with that. Because I enjoy the videos. Man, if I could get a sexy girl to read the top 10 videos, and in a good voice, there's a good chance she would already be a very successful streamer and wouldn't want to voice them. Because, sure, you could probably get someone like that, but, if it's just their voice, who cares what they look like? And if you did just go out and find someone based on their physical attractiveness and then have them read stuff, there is no guarantee. In fact, I'd be very confident they wouldn't be good at reading the script, because script reading actually takes skill to an extent, something I did not know when I first started. I thought, you're just reading a script, anyone can do it, it's so easy. And it's like, no, there's actually so much that goes into it, so much that I had to learn over the years, to the point where I can't watch my old videos because the script reading is just so bad. Uh-oh. Sound effects. I accidentally muted it. No, I don't want my game muted. Ugh. I don't even know what the hell I pushed to mute my music. But I did. Have you ever done a face reveal or plan on doing one? No and no. Top 10 top 10s? Yeah, I've done that video already. That is a very popular thing that's asked for. Already did it. Beat you guys to it. Why is stream at this godforsaken hour? I have a good reason for that, which I explained in detail earlier on in the stream. Luckily, this stream is being made for the stream VOD specifically, so if you watch that, you'll find it out. Short answer, though, it's because my dogs are less likely to bark at this time. A very successful streamer, so a Twitch, THOT, yes, exactly. I should let you guys know, I do not have a negative opinion on attractive female streamers who use their attractive features in order to get ahead on the platform. Despite the fact that it's a very popular sentiment I've seen in the gaming community to look down on them. And since I am also part of the community of, making a living through having a fan base, I have nothing but respect for what a lot of them do. Because I've seen, they definitely have to work a lot harder than just what people think. They think, hey, they just, have to look pretty on stream and that's it. And they make tons of money. And it's like, no, there's so much more that goes into it, actually. A lot of them are actually pretty smart and they know exactly what they're doing. Of course, there's always the case that some of them are just lucky. And that's also the case for guys, too. It's actually pretty fascinating if you take the time to see how they got popular or what they do in order to stay successful. Because it surprisingly takes more than just being an attractive female streamer in order to do well. Which you wouldn't know if you weren't actually, in that business like I am. Oh, there's this video on MTG. I think it's called The Best Worst Card, and it's like a reflection of one potential. Oh, yeah, I know what that is. I've seen that video. It's very well edited. It's like 40 minutes long, I think. It's about a card that discards all the cards in your hand or something. And I think the video talks about how it can be used to lose the quickest or something like that. It was pretty great. Hey, does it matter what they look like? Yeah, a face for radio. Hey, that's basically what I am. People would definitely say I have a good radio voice if they see what I look like in real life. But we love dogs. Yeah, you don't want them barking in the mic or anywhere near. It's not very pleasant. Sure, they're fun to look at. They're not very fun when they're both barking like crazy because maybe someone walked by the house. Deathbringers Will awesome because it transforms you to 3 different things. You get a bad proc, but all the transforms looked great and had cool animations. Yep. Not only did it have a good effect, it also had a cosmetic effect where it transformed your character into 3 different things. I'm late, and you probably answered this. Have you confirmed a server and faction? Also, will you be balancing Classic, BFA, and Yu-Gi-Oh? I haven't confirmed a server. I'm probably going to play Horde. I can't see myself playing Alliance seriously. That being said, I'll probably still make Alliance characters anyway. I always do that because I need footage of both factions. So, like, I have a couple of max level... No, I don't think I have any max level Alliance characters, now that I think about it. I have a couple of high level Alliance characters, on BFA. I really need to max one of them out, though. It's always a good idea to play both factions if you're a content creator playing World of Warcraft. I'm going to probably pick a server at random, one that's like, medium quality. And how am I going to balance those 3? I've already balanced the 2 channels this whole time anyway. The answer is, that's for future me to figure out. Currently, what I think I'm probably going to do is just play Classic WoW casually. Time I would spend in BFA to do dailies or auction house stuff, I'd probably shift that time over to playing Classic WoW, where I would still raid in BFA and, do the bare necessities in order to keep my character going. I would just, move over a lot of my free time into Classic WoW, but I have no plans on taking Classic WoW seriously, but I'm definitely going to play it. And a great thing about Classic WoW is that, the solo content, the level up stuff, is way more fun. So I am looking forward to leveling up in that game, which is something I would never say about BFA. Despite the fact that I do like BFA. I've made a couple of videos defending many things about it. Leveling, there are some flaws with it, some big flaws, and the leveling is definitely one of them. I'm late. Yeah, about those girls, yes, I agree. Some of them were hardworking. I think there's some really bad examples, though. There's a girl who just dances. There's bad examples of guy streamers, too. I don't really buy that. It's more of a people don't like the fact that the girls are, successful for doing nothing, in their opinion, because they don't actually know the work that goes into it. So they just get mad, jealous. They're like, man, if only I was an attractive girl, I could do that, too. And it's like, yes, if only you had charisma, you'd be able to do it as well. Most of the top streamers are all guys. You could do it too. It's just people don't really, I don't know. It's a bias thing. It's probably a masculine thing. I don't really get it. But at the same time, I kind of do. Video about thoughts. I truly do not need to do anything. Check, it's a Gundams video about thoughts. They truly do not need to do anything. I'm sure it's a perfectly fine video that nitpicks a lot of things about them and probably says a few incorrect things and uses a couple of outlier examples to paint a narrative. Am I wrong about that? I can't imagine it's anything but that. Because I do watch a lot of commentary videos from a lot of those channels. I watch a lot of YouTube and I keep track of a lot that goes on. And there are patterns they do whenever they do exposés on things like that. So, I wouldn't really take those too seriously. It would be fun if you had a dog cam, but it seems your dogs move a lot. Yeah, they constantly move. And I'm not their favorite person. Literally, if anyone else is home, they're going to hang out with them. Why do you prefer to play Horde? Because it's what I picked at random when I first started. That's what a majority of my characters are. And I like the Horde story a little bit more than the Alliance. That being said, I do like a lot of the Alliance stuff too. I just have a slight more bias for the Horde than Alliance. And I also like to play up the fact that, I have a bias towards Horde in my videos as kind of a way to give myself artificial personality. That being said, if I absolutely had to play the Alliance, I would, and I'd probably get used to it eventually. But if I don't have to, I'm definitely going to play Horde. Good luck finding a medium pop server. I mean, that like most of the complaints were about, you know, the streamer servers that everyone's going to be playing on. Man, I need to make a video about that. Streamer servers. Should you play on, no, for like a discussion video, not a video on the real channel. No one cares about my opinions on my actual channel. That seems like a fun video to discuss. But yeah, this is definitely going to be medium pop servers. I think people like assume every single server is going to be like maxed out or something, which just sounds silly. Also, you know, there was one other thing. Like, people are saying, like, why doesn't Blizzard just add more servers? There's this one guy who does a series of videos on his channel that talks about nothing but, like, why MMOs have failed. And a common thing amongst all of the failed MMOs is that at launch, they had too many servers. And then once, you know, the initial population left, they would just close servers, and that pissed people off. Or, you know, they wouldn't close servers or merge them, and then people were playing on dead servers, and that would piss them off. And he'd always be like, why don't these companies ever learn and just not open up a whole bunch of servers at the beginning? And so that's exactly what Blizzard is doing. I was like, hey, look, Blizzard knows what they're doing for this. And it's funny to see a whole bunch of people are pissed off about it because they just don't know. Or, you know, they're delusional and think Classic WoW is going to be super duper successful and have a ton of players all the time forever. But I think it's more of a thing that they just don't know. How would they know? They don't, like, who looks into all these things? The only reason I know is because I've seen all these videos about, you know, why a whole bunch of these other MMOs failed. If I didn't watch those videos, I wouldn't know either. I'd probably have the exact same opinion as them. Like, why don't they just open up more servers? I'm going to go back to my list of questions now. Next question. What is your favorite ground mount, and what is your favorite flying mount? You know, I think I added this here because I was going to talk about my whole favorites thing. Currently, my favorite flying mount is the Cobalt Pterodax because it's blue. It looks pretty cool. It has these bones on it. And my favorite ground mount is the Swift Windsteed because it looks pretty neat. And it flies too. It has like clouds underneath it. That's my final answer. I'm never going to change it. Next question. I would say I Fall Asleep to Your Voice is good. Oops. Wait. I would say I fall asleep to, but your voice is good to sleep to, not because of what they are about. I like your videos, which you would do more pet battle videos. Oh, okay. You know, it was this thing like, I'm aware people watch my videos to fall asleep to, and I don't see that as a bad thing. So if you watch my videos to fall asleep to, do know that I am aware people do that, and that's why I turn down the volume on my outros. And I am perfectly fine with that. If anything, you know, hey, I have lots of playlists. If you like to fall asleep to my videos, you know, put on a new playlist every day. Watch all of them. You know, falling asleep to the videos still counts as watching them. I get like a lot of views from playlist views. I know people are doing it, and I am happy about that. And I build my videos so that they can be rewatched or watched later on and still be relevant. So yeah, that's great. So if you like to watch my videos to fall asleep to, I am aware that lots of people do this, and I am perfectly fine with it. If anything, I actively encourage it. I think this one had a couple more things to it. I like your videos. Wish you would do more pet battle videos. Here's the thing about pet battle videos. So I have a pet battle channel. I haven't really uploaded on it very much in the past 2 years, but I do occasionally upload to it. Like every couple of months. Like, I haven't completely abandoned the channel yet. Because I still like pet battles. I still absolutely do them. Quite frequently. At least every day. I just don't make videos about them as much anymore. And that's because back like 2 years ago, you know, I started having a bunch of medical problems. And one of my problems was like stress from overwork. And I had to cut down on all of my extra channels that I had. And part of the cutting that down was to stop making as many pet battle videos. Because I used to make them every day. I just completely stopped on a lot of the channels I was working on. And the pet battle ones was one I decided to not stop on, but just cut back on. And that's why went from uploading every day to uploading maybe once a month. And that's all it was. I was having a stress condition, which was causing half my body to go numb. So I literally had to stop working as much as I used to. And now I have a much healthier work-life balance. I actually take weekends off now. And I kind of needed to. And part of that was, unfortunately, dropping work on my channels that weren't really making me money, which included pet battles. Because if I'm going to focus on something, you know, I do this as a job. I do hire people to work for me. I need to work on the ones that actually earn me the income. Because working on ones that don't make me any money is akin to not working. You can't call that work if you're not making money from it. So obviously I'd have to cut back on that because that's, you know, no longer work, and that's me making videos on my free time. And my body doesn't make that distinction. It just thinks I'm working if I'm making videos, and it starts shutting down on me if I do too much of it. So I had to cut back on making videos, even if I was technically considering that free time. Because my body was considering it work. So that's why, you know, on the weekends, I take it off. And working on channels, you know, like the Azeroth Weather channel, this one would be considered, you know, free time stuff. It's not work because I'm not making any money from it. But I don't do work on this channel on the weekends because my body considers it work. It's a weird distinction. But that's why I stopped doing as many pet battle videos. Have you put a tier 1 BFA video out yet? No. I want to, but I don't know what the tier 1 pets in BFA are. I haven't played enough PvP to know that. Despite the fact that I have done, you know, some casual PvP in pet battles. And maybe info on how to sell things on the auction house. I'm having trouble selling things. Selling things on the auction house, that is such a broad topic that there are literally YouTube channels dedicated to it. It really depends on what you're trying to sell. Like, heavily. That's how you know, like, that would be the first step. Selling things at auction house. Are you trying to sell in-demand crafting mats? Then just put them up. Are you trying to sell old world crafting mats that no one really buys very often? Hey, you know, different things. Are you trying to sell transmog items? Oh boy. Do I have some words for you on that? It's a very... The auction house in WoW is basically a game within a game. And that's what I used to spend a lot of time doing. Okay, let me go back to chat and read some stuff over here. Whoa. So, Hiryu, you have dogs, but are you a cat person? I've never actually had a cat, but I definitely appreciate cat pictures, so I don't know. I generally like animals, though. I just, you know, whenever it comes to, like, owning an animal, I am very aware of the responsibility that goes into it. So there are some people where they see a new animal and they're like, oh, I want that. You know, I want a gerbil or a dog or something. And they just get it and they don't think of what actually goes into taking care of an animal. Whereas when I see those things, I immediately think of like potty training, cleaning up stains on the carpet, you know, having to feed them, take them on walks, you know, pay for vet bills and everything. And that discourages me from doing it. It's like, I don't want it that much. You know, I like animals, sure, but I don't like taking care of them. And I already have 2 animals I take care of. You know, it's kind of a shared thing, though. I'm not the only one who takes care of them. But I was definitely the one who trained them. And and potty trained them. I'd rather not do that again. It's kind of a pain in the ass. So I wouldn't want to own a cat. But I definitely like cats. What's up, hero? It's not a handful, given a bad rep to a lot. Good female streamers are actually the minority, the ones that can actually play games on gaming platform. I disagree with you completely, Liberty Prime. The whole sentiment of that, it's like a whole different ball game for female streamers and stuff. But, you know, that's not really something I'm going to go much more into. Because it seems like you've already have your mind made up on this subject. Which streamers do you recommend? Asmongold's a pretty good streamer. All servers are pretty much full. Even the German ones filled their servers. Okay. Well, maybe on the EU side, because they didn't open up as many servers over there. Hundreds of private servers have existed through many years, and all of them get a ton of traffic. Now there's an official version to play vanilla. All those players will go to it. Here's the thing about private servers that I didn't know about until I learned more about the community. So, like, a big driving point behind Classic WoW was that the only reason people play private servers is because that's the only way they can play old versions of WoW. Which I thought, yeah, that makes sense. And then I got into the community, learned more about them, became friends with a lot of the private server YouTubers. You know, I met Mr. GM at Blizzcon last year because I've talked to him a whole bunch. So I know a lot about the private server community. And because of this, I know for a fact that the amount of people who play private servers because they want to play an old version of the game, that is not all of them. I'd say the other half, I'd say it's a large part of it for sure. I'd say it's at least 40 to 50% of them. But at least half of them just don't want to pay for WoW. They want to play WoW, but they don't want to pay for it. Some of them for good reasons. Like, some of them are just, you know, kids who want to play WoW, but their parents won't pay for them. They live in poorer countries where they can't afford the subscription, or they live in countries where, WoW's not available. You know, some of them do have legitimate reasons why they do it. A lot of them just don't want to pay for it, but they also want to play WoW. And that is a significant portion of the community. So even with official servers, you know, private servers are still going to be alive and well. Because there's way more to it than just playing old versions of WoW. Blizzard's either going to have the problem that 90% player drop-off is going to happen, or that it's not going to happen. It's guaranteed to happen. It has always happened in every single MMO that's ever come out. Same way as the piracy, playing private servers. Look forward to watching more of your videos while grinding in Classic. In regards to Classic servers, I think Blizzard knows what they are doing. They are gradually rolling out servers at the moment. We'll probably do more on launch day if there's needed. Their wait-and-see approach is the wisest. Yeah, I think they're handling it very well right now. There's also not as much outrage as I was probably making it out to be. Sure, there's some grumbling about it, but, you know, there's no large-scale outrage like there was when they had loot trading for a hot second. Loot trading in all forms of difficulty. Let's see. Hi, Hiru. Sorry to hear that. Have you tried cannabis to help with your stress? Yeah, I don't do any kind of narcotics. I don't even drink alcohol. The stress was more of a physical thing, though. You're right. There's probably narcotics that could have helped. I personally will never do those, though. I tried those when I was younger, like most kids do. But I grew up in an environment of drug abuse and alcohol abuse. So I don't do either of those things at all. Icky, which classes are you going to run for Classic? And which profession combinations? I really want to try out engineering. I haven't picked a class yet. I'm leaning towards Hunter, Priest, Rogue, Shaman, and Warrior. One of those, or maybe Mage. You know, like one of those 6 classes. I'm not really sure which one, though. But I'll pick one of those. Okay, Asmon. Work bid is great, too. Cigarettes can work, too. Cigarettes, you mean cancer sticks? I would definitely never smoke cigarettes, ever. I can't believe there's people who still smoke cigarettes, considering how bad they are for you. But you're right, you know, cigarettes can help reduce stress, and instead they'll just kill you in another way. Okay, back to the questions. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, you know what else helps reduce stress? Taking weekends off, apparently. That basically fixed my physical problems. The mental stuff, I had to work much harder, though. The mental stuff, none of that had to do with work, though. Like, I had different kinds of stress. And work was causing me physical stress, which was just making my body go numb. Weird thing. I thought I had a stroke or something. Nope, it was just a stress disorder. I didn't even know I was stressed. It's just, I was working too much. That's all it was. Can I do it? Can I do it? Yeah, I got it. Okay, next question on this list of questions. Factor crap videos most likely have people taking the quiz actively. Therefore, they're more likely to skip an ad in the middle of the video because it interrupts their quiz. Whereas with the top 10 video, it's much like a second monitor background noise where people might be busy to skip a mid-roll ad. Oh shit, I wasn't expecting to die right here. This is actually really good insight to the question, because another one of the things I mentioned in the video was, like, despite a lot of the factor crap videos being over 10 minutes, so they were monetized properly, they made way less ad revenue than anything else. And this person suggested that maybe it's because people, when you watch those videos, you have to actively participate in it. So they're much more willing to skip ads than, the top 10s, which is much more passive listening. And I was like, you know what? That makes a lot of sense. That could be part of it. Here's what I think it is, actually, though. The fact that the videos have crap in their title is probably why they make less money. I have this, add-on that tells me, good practices whenever I'm uploading a video. And one of them was, huge red flag is, you have crap in your title. Consider changing that if you don't want to get, limited ads on your video. I was like, I can't change the name of the series. Or can I? I'm pretty sure that's the reason, though. It could also be the other thing you said, they're just skipping the ads more. I was like, sure, that could probably be it. I'm also pretty certain it's just the fact that it has crap in the title. Because crap is a bad word. You're not allowed to say bad words. YouTube is very strict about that. Next question. 2 Q&As ago, you mentioned an app that converts your voice to text. You said you're using for writing the scripts. Can you give me the name of the app? Yeah, I actually responded to this guy immediately. But I'll restate it for this. The voice to text program I use is called Dragon Naturally Speaking. I can actually probably show it to you guys right now. Here, let me open up my Q&A questions. So let me put this over. Here it is. I was like, don't I have a screen specifically designed to do shit like this? The answer to that is yes, I do. So, here's my screen. Here's this. I'm going to show you how Dragon works. So, I'm going to just read this thing. Hello there, comma. This is me using Dragon Naturally Speaking, TM, comma. And I have to say all of my commas and periods. Quotation marks. Yeah, quotation marks doesn't work. Full stop. Big true or big false is better, LMAO. Full stop. Level 10. Yeah, it still does the X thing. Full stop. Next line. Tab. Next line. Tab. Hello there, comma. Today, I will be making a Q&A video on the Azeroth Weather channel for the World of Warcraft series. Full stop. Okay, let me turn it off now. Let's see. Hello there. Today, I will be making a Q&A video on the Azeroth Weather channel for the World of Warcraft series. Yeah, see, it's pretty accurate as hell. It totally makes mistakes sometimes. But, this was a real sentence I spoke out. It even had a couple of ununique words like Azeroth or World of Warcraft, and I got them all perfect. It even capitalized World of Warcraft. And that's because I've trained it to recognize these specific words. Does semicolon work? Let me check. Hello there, semicolon, bye. Yeah, semicolon works. Okay, so that's Dragon. That's how I write all my scripts because my hand is shot. I'm pretty sure I have carpal tunnel. I'm not 100% sure, though, because my doctor's an idiot. And I'd have to go to a new doctor and get new tests done. I don't want to do that. Because it's a pain in the ass. And it's basically fine. You know, I just can't type. Which is no biggie. It's not like I write scripts all the time. But Dragon works so well that it's not really a big deal. Okay. Back to this list. Back to this Q&A list of questions that I'm pretty close to finishing. Factor crap, 2Q. Oh, here it is. I only have like 3 questions left. That's a shame that other people are using your content for their own gain. Hopefully this Asmon tells people to go watch the original video as well. Or you can write in the info box that this video is not allowed to be streamed, or say it at the start of the video. I mean, it's still legally your content. You may do what you please with it, just like with any movie or any other copyrighted material. Here's the thing with Asmongold watching the videos on his stream. I'm fine with that. I don't care. It doesn't hurt the videos. The videos don't do well for other reasons. There's only like really minor positives to it, but there's also not huge positives to it either. It's more of like, you know, the leech channels. They're the ones who benefit the most out of it. Asmon watching it on the stream was no big problem. You know, the people uploading those reactions later on in the stream, why would you watch the original video when you can just watch it there? But also, someone else makes a good point. I'll read this next one. As I'm writing this, you also said it yourself. What I care about in the Factor Crap videos, or any sort of quiz videos, is how other people interact with the video, and not how I interact with it. I would interact with it if I had other people with me live, like a friend watching, or a streamer in chat. Basically, personal opinion about Factor Crap videos is I don't really care to interact with the video, because the whole point of the video is that I have to interact with it, and makes me not want to watch it. If you remove the interactions, then it just makes the whole video a regular random facts about the game, and I'll like it. So this guy brought up a really good point. You know, people don't want to interact with the video, and you don't watch a quiz video if you don't want to take the quiz. But also, if you watch someone else do the quiz, you don't have to interact with it. You're just watching someone take a quiz at that point, and it becomes a completely different kind of video. And I was like, you know what? That makes a lot of sense. That honestly probably explains why the reaction videos themselves do better than the original videos, because quizzes themselves, like, who wants to do work? You watch YouTube, you know, to have fun, entertain, not to actually use your brain for stuff. Some people, though, like Factor Craps, despite how unwell they do, not good, the people who do watch them seem to really like them. There are definitely a group of people who like to take those quizzes, and the Factor Crap is surprisingly like a good video series for the channel for branding purposes. You know, it gives people more of a reason to like the channel and recommend it. It's like, yeah, these quizzes, they're a lot of fun. I got, you know, like a 16 on this score. Ooh, I didn't do so well on this video, though. It's a good branding thing. And, you know, it gets streamers to watch the video, which introduces more people to the channel. It's just, you know, not super well. And I would totally have canceled it again, like I did originally, if it wasn't for the fact that I found a way to make those videos really quickly. Like, I worked really hard in order to streamline those videos so that I can make them as fast as possible, while, you know, also having a standard of quality. And I think I found a nice balance where I'm able to make them really quickly. So it kind of negates the whole fact that they don't do very well. If I don't have to spend a lot of time on them, it doesn't matter. And they still come off as, you know, edited well enough. No one's going to say, man, the editing on this video is super bad. It's like, no, because I already have like everything set up to make it look better than it really is. Like all those edits and everything on it, they're all just things I already have set up in like a template. I literally just have like 20 questions, like the music playing at different intervals. I have all the text changed. I have it all set up where I literally just have to like put in the footage and change the text, and that's it. so I don't have to like put in all of the animations for every single video, and it makes it so much faster to make. And most of the time, like if I don't have footage of what I'm talking about, I don't bother to get it. I just like pull it off something online or a picture of something, because I also just have a mountain of footage ready to go of like everything you could think of in the game. So the series itself is easy to make. And since it's a quiz video, you know, sometimes you don't want to show what you're talking about because you don't want to give it away, or you don't have to. It's real easy to get all the footage for everything. If the series wasn't so easy to create visually, I would have canceled it already. But, you know, the positives kind of outweigh. It's a good branding series. And it's not hard to make. So it's probably going to stay around for a while. I'm just going to have to accept that it's not going to be making me a lot of money. But, you know, not everything you do on your channel needs to make you a lot of money directly. It can still benefit you in other ways. And of course, if there was no benefit to it, then I would have to cancel it, because at that point it would no longer be work. You know, I have to think of these things. Like if a series does badly enough, I have to literally consider it not work anymore and a hobby. And it's like, would I want to do this on my free time as a hobby? And if the answer is no, then the series gets canceled. Because if you don't make decisions like that, then you're literally wasting your time doing something you don't want to do. Oh man, my throat. Okay, so that's the end of the list of questions anyway. Let me catch up in chat. There's not very much. So you're gonna play a meme spec? I don't know. Relieve stress. Yeah, I relieve stress and kills you early. Win-win. What about cigarettes? Did I miss? Cigarettes are bad. I wouldn't suggest smoking cigarettes. Guess he's declined towards Horde. Hey here, I have two questions. First, can you talk about us in a game as a band of adventurers? And two question, what server are you going to play on in Classic? And is it EU? I don't know what server I'm going to play on, but it's definitely going to be a US server. I don't know what your first one is. Can you talk to us as a band of adventurers? I don't know. Crap equals bad. Big if true. Big false is better. I mean, I could just call it true or false. And I probably should. I'm not going to. I don't really care that much. Not sure if you can say, but do you get more ad revenue if we don't skip the ads? I thought you got full revenue even if we skipped it. I don't actually know the answer to that question. Like, I'd assume you'd probably get more if you watch the full ad, but I don't have any data to back that up. So, like, you know, if you don't like watching the ads and it gives you a skip button, skip them. That's what I do. Or what I used to do before I bought YouTube Premium, so I wouldn't have to watch ads anymore. It's like, you know, I make all my money from ad revenue, so it wouldn't be good if I use like an ad blocker. So instead I just compromise and have YouTube Premium, and it's actually more convenient for me because it allows me to watch YouTube on my phone without ads too, which is pretty nice. It also gives me a feature where I can like listen to the phone in the background. I mean, videos without them being currently on the main screen, which I thought was pretty neat. And YouTubers actually make more money from the YouTube Premium cut than they do from ad revenue anyway. So it's like a win-win all around. YouTube makes more money and everyone else also gets more money than the ad revenue. You could put FOC in the title, but I don't know if that's better. What I could do is just put, you know, like the name of the quiz and just say, you know, Mount Quiz, and in the thumbnail have Factor Crap. You know, that way Factor Crap wouldn't appear in the title, or, you know, or anywhere in the video description, and it's not like they can detect that I'm saying crap in the video itself. They'd have to like manually flag that kind of stuff. And my channel has a good track record, so they wouldn't look for that. And even then, crap is a pretty minor bad word. So literally all I have to do is just not include it in the title. Because having things in the title is a huge no-no. And that's also why you want to put as much words in your title as possible. Like, you'll notice a lot of my Yu-Gi-Oh! Videos and WoW videos, if you go back and look at them now, I'll make sure to include the full name of Yu-Gi-Oh! Or the full name of World of Warcraft in the title somewhere, because that increases its search rankings, because the title is the most important place to put those things. So if you just removed crap from the title, that would do a world of difference. It would make it a lot better. Painfully practical. Would you do a top 10 of your favorite tier sets, the prettiest or the ones that you enjoyed the most? You pick. Here's the thing with top 10 videos. I actually wrote a little script that I'm never going to make into a video, and it's called How to Make a Good Top 10s. Let me open this up real quick. How to make a good top 10s. Why is this so little? First up, let's go with topics. So, I actually wrote a little thing about this, and it's very relevant to the question you asked. Let me read this to you. So this whole thing is about how to make good top 10s. There's one of the very first things to talk about. First up, let's go with topics. I have a lot of topics that I will or will not do, and for various different reasons. But it's a lot easier if I talk about actual examples. Whenever I see a YouTuber experiment with making top 10s for the first time, I'd say about 90% of the time, the first one will be an opinion piece, unlike their top 10 favorite X thing, which I categorize as opinion pieces, and I don't think those do very well. What I think makes a good top 10 video is if someone can reasonably expect to guess the number one spot in the video if they've never heard of you before, and based on the topic and thumbnail alone. So, if you're making a video titled My Top 10 Favorite Mounts in WoW, and someone comes across the video and has never heard of you, they're not going to care what your favorite mounts in the games are, even if they themselves play World of Warcraft. And why should they? I'm sure most people don't go out of their way to read other people's list on their favorite things. And the only people who might be interested are people who already are fans of that person, just really love mounts, and just like to see other people's, or want to see if someone else shares their opinions on their favorite mounts, which I don't think is a very big audience or one you should be trying to shoot for. In comparison, if you make a video called The Top 10 Rarest Mounts in the Game, people might be able to guess the number one, but people might not be able to guess number one, but they might have an idea of what it might be, and they'd very much be interested in seeing what it actually is. In this example, they don't need to know anything about me personally to be invested in the topic at hand, which covers a bigger range of people who might want to watch the video. And that's the difference between an opinion piece and a researched piece. Of course, top 10s overall ultimately come down to your opinion anyway. You just don't want them to know that. Reading that whole thing is basically answering the whole favorite tier sets thing. I don't actually have 10 favorite tier sets, and it wouldn't make a good top 10 video because it's just an opinion piece, and no one cares about my opinion. Or, correction, very few of my audience cares about my opinion. They care more about the facts that appear in the video themselves, and if the facts are my opinions on things, it's not going to do well. It's not really worth my time. And I was actually thinking about doing, like opinion-based top 10s on this channel, because I know no one cares, but it still seems like it'd be fun to do anyway. I think if your brain merged with Bellier's, that big brain could figure out the YouTube algorithm. I'll have you know, I have 2 successful channels. I kind of already know what I'm doing. Same with Bellier. If we combined our intel, it'd probably just be confirming, like, yeah, this guy knows what he's doing. And like, yes, this guy also knows what he is doing. We both know how YouTube works and have put it to the test and have made it work out multiple times. Can you RP some answers? I don't even know what you mean with that. I'd have to think about that for a second. So what would be a good top 10 video about the looks of tier sets? I don't know. I don't care about tier sets. It'd probably be like, what are the most powerful tier bonuses of all time? You know, something like that. That'd probably be a decent one. Or it would have to be something like combat related, I think, with the tier sets, because if it's just based on their looks, no one cares, because that's an opinion piece. You can't really talk about the look of the tier pieces without it coming down to your personal opinion. But there are other things you could talk about with tier pieces, like the tier bonuses, or like how to acquire them. You know, like some of the ones that were the hardest to get for whatever reasons. That could be a decent video. I don't think any of them are that hard to get, though, so, you know, it wouldn't really be a video topic worth making. But that's just an example of how you would do it. But what if you do top 10 ugliest tier sets? It's more of an opinion piece or slightly more objective. People tend to agree more on those. Yeah, you see, that's why you have to be a little bit careful with that. If you do an ugliest video, it's still an opinion piece, but I understand your sentiment. Like, there are some topics, you know, where it kind of blurs the line where it's pure opinion, or, you know, there's some things that people universally agree on. Like with the top 10 hardest raid bosses video. It's technically an opinion video, but there are bosses that the community has like collectively agreed upon are good. And I also made a video on like the top 10 magnificent final bosses. You know, it's basically, like the top 10 coolest bosses or something like that. It's an opinion piece, but it's framed in a way that it's basically taking the community's collective opinion on it. So, you know, you're right. It can be a little bit more complex than, you know, the cut and dry way I put it. Anyways, that's the end of this. I'm going to go now. This was the end of the Q&A video. If you have questions for the next Q&A video, please put them in the comments. Maybe questions about, I don't know, maybe not even questions, just suggestions for really good worst top 10 video ideas. Because I need more Warcraft related ones, because I have very few of them. So, until next time, see you later.